For months and months, we'd heard the rumors about the next Assassin's Creed game that was supposed to be set in Japan, something that Assassin's Creed fans had been asking for literally for a decade. They were desperately wanting an Assassin's Creed that was set in Japan. They thought it would be the perfect setting. And of course, over the past couple of years, as people got to play Ghost of Tsushima, they thought, holy shit, they really did it well. They did it better than probably Ubisoft ever could. And Ubisoft, very predictably, decided to give it the old go, the old college try. And right now, it's getting faced with massive waves of backlash because just like the rumors stated that they would have a black male protagonist in an Assassin's Creed game set in feudal Japan, it's exactly what they fucking did. You can play as a female Japanese assassin, or you can play as Yasuke, the black samurai. And you can just see the reaction right here. Over 500,000 dislikes to 260,000 likes. This is not some, just a little bit of backlash, a couple angry people. This is a massive wave of rejection. And this is just on the generic Ubisoft channel. You want to look at how Japan feels about this right now? The first Assassin's Creed to take place in Japan, and you decide to make the main character black? What's going just as you'd expect? 36,000 dislikes to 3,700 likes. 10 times as many dislikes as likes. It's almost like this culture doesn't appreciate what's happening to them. And we have seen a massive wave, not only of backlash from fans, but also the mainstream media doing everything they can to defend this. Now, we've talked about Yasuke before. This is a real person. Yasuke is a person that did actually exist in Japan. However, despite what many people may say, despite what books have been written by activists, what people are trying to gaslight everyone to believing, and even that, there's online encyclopedias, Wikipedia, as well as getting changed in real time by activists to try to cover up the fact that there's no actual empirical evidence that Yasuke was ever actually a samurai. He was a sword bearer. He existed. They were fascinated with him because he was black. They'd never seen anybody black before. They literally made this dude strip down in front of a bunch of people and scrub his skin because they didn't think that he was really a black person. He was kept around as a fascination. He was a sword bearer, and he really didn't do too much of note in historical records. However, a lie is being spread all around the world that, it's confirmed. Everybody knows it's confirmed. How dare you question it? Well, we're going to go over a lot of the things that have been changed in recent days to try to do damage control for Ubisoft. But just look at some of the reactions from the mainstream media. Let's not pretend we're mad the new Assassin's Creed Shadow Samurai isn't Asian. It does nothing for Asian representation to have another samurai hero. You got this one. Who is Assassin's Creed Shadow's protagonist Yasuke? The history behind the first black samurai explained. Well, of course, the person that Ubisoft hired to be their expert on Japan during this time turns out to be a massive activist who's more focused on relationships between old men and young boys in feudal Japan. A massive gay rights activist is the one that they're relying on for all the Yasuke stuff. Isn't that funny? What about this one? Assassin's Creed doesn't care about historical accuracy, and neither should you. And it's funny. I thought this was a very appropriate tweet. I love how the narrative went from Yasuke is a samurai, and if you disagree, then you're a racist, to, well, Assassin's Creed was never historically accurate, and you're a racist if you want it to be within the span of a day. And this one might have been my favorite. They wouldn't want an African Assassin's Creed either, because, of course, so many of us said, if you want a black protagonist for Assassin's Creed, it's a pretty easy solution. You do it in Africa. I'm sure there's a lot of cool stories you could tell about kingdoms in Africa and warriors in Africa. That might actually be something very, very cool. You could do that if you wanted. And instead of injecting a black lead where they absolutely don't belong in feudal Japan, but we know they did it for identity politics purposes. And you say we wouldn't want an African Assassin's Creed either, that we'd bitch about it, that we'd moan about it. They already had one set in fucking Africa, right? Assassin's Creed Origins was in fucking Egypt. Last time I checked, it's in fucking Africa. And you know what? They had a protagonist that looked how he should have looked being in Africa and Egypt at that time. And nobody bitch and moan. There's not a ratio on this. 89,000 likes to 10,000 dislikes. Why is there a ratio here? Oh, because it's in fucking Japan. Said like the 1500s or some shit. It's very, very obvious why fans and people are upset about this. And the mainstream media continues to fucking ignore everything they can. And if you want evidence that this was done intentionally, that it didn't just happen naturally, look at this shit. Assassin's Creed Shadows developer confessed their intention of finding a non-Japanese character to fit the Japanese period. The article is 100% real and came from a now deleted paragraph from Famitsu. Even the Japanese website paid by Ubisoft is doing damage control. There is a link right here to the archive, but you can see, quote, "We were looking for our samurai, someone who could be our non-Japanese eyes." It was intentional. They did it intentionally, not just because it worked out that way. But I think the most insidious shit about all of it is that, again, there is no actual historical record confirming that Yasuke was ever considered a samurai or was a samurai. There's a lot of stories. There's legends that have been told. There's books that activists have written. There's a lot of people online that are spouting, if you don't believe this, you don't know your history. Well, up until a couple days ago, pretty much everyone agreed that there was no actual empirical evidence that he was a samurai. Those things quickly changed. Those things very, very quickly changed. Look at the Wikipedia edit. And I checked this myself a day before this was released because we'd heard the leaks and I wanted to see if they did anything to change it. They sure as shit did. This is what his documented life in Japan used to say. It's important to note, there are no historical writings or evidence that Yasuke was considered a samurai. He was never given a fief or referred to one in any writings. Most of our knowledge of his life comes from these messages written by missionaries and locals. What did it say after Ubisoft launched this? For a video game, activists went in there and fought a war to get that shit completely deleted. To get it fucking deleted. To get that sentence explaining, hey, it's important to know there's no actual historical evidence saying that he was indeed a samurai, even though stories are out there about it. Why would you fucking do that? It's because they can't fucking stand that people are calling this out. For some reason, it's very important to activists out there and some black people out there that Yasuke had to be a samurai. It's racist if he wasn't a samurai. How dare you claim that you have no proof that this person was a samurai, even though that's kind of been the narrative for ever since the 1500s. Wikipedia got edited. Britannica, 3 edits in 3 days. So people are saying, just go to Britannica. You can find it there. That's also been changed from what it was originally. Famitsu deletes original dev comments like we just talked about. Plus the dozens of articles posted in the day since the trailer dropped, all bolstering the fiction, trying to claim it was real over a game. No, look at the rest of reality around you. Here's what I think about the entire situation. Is there a chance that Yasuke was actually a samurai? Yeah, I think there's a chance. There's no evidence to suggest it, but there's so little is actually documented about this person. What is documented doesn't make it seem likely that he was, but I guess it potentially could be. But there's also a really good potential that he fucking wasn't. And the fact that people are so upset, they're calling you racist if you say this, they're calling you racist if you say that. You know what's happening right now? The people of Japan, the culture where this is centered, the place where this game is, they have rejected this whole fucking heartily because they think it's a fucking insult to have the first Assassin's Creed take place in Japan. And instead of having a Japanese male character and a Japanese female character, they decide, you know what we need for our DEI? Asian people, that ain't diverse enough. We need a black guy as our lead in Assassin's Creed Shadows. Very strange they picked that name as well. This is a shit show that's not going to end anytime soon. This is not just a few people calling it out. This is a massive wave of backlash. Japan, we know the dislikes are 10-1, but here on the main Ubisoft channel, over 500,000 dislikes to 250,000 likes. That's very telling about where the general public is on this. This is not just a couple people, internet outrage. The vast majority of people think that this is complete and total bullshit, and the backlash is not going to end anytime soon.